ready?
All right.
So we're doing Chicago, Montreal first.
Oh no, I just gave you the list of every team.
These are all the.
These are the qualifiers, and then the teams that have the threes next to them. This is the official first round. If this is easier.
All right, just explain this one real quick.
Okay.
I mean, these are the 8 games that happened.
These are the eight teams that played to qualify for the official first round of the playoffs. Even though this whole playoff bracket is still technically quote-unquote playoffs, the official first round, meaning the 16 teams that will play for the Cup, starts within tomorrow or Wednesday. So these 8 teams that played, or these 16 teams that played, 8 of them advanced, 8 went home. That was the point of the draft. So the way this is going to work is, so the teams with 1, so you're going to have to look, like put a star or an asterisk next to the teams that lost. So the teams with the 3s, they advance. So Edmonton.
We'll just go. And these are the number of games.
These were the series of 5. That's how unusual this playoff bracket has been. It's equivalent to like college basketball, like March Madness.
What's the first round? So these are going to be the pairings that
Yes.
because of this.
Yeah.
Okay, these are the pairing results.
Yes. So we're going to talk about this first. This is the qualifiers. Then we'll move over to the first official round, which will start within a day or two.
Okay, I've been calling it round 1, but we'll call it round 2.
Okay. Well, you know what you call this? You call this like You call this like preseason, postseason hockey. The unofficial official first round is over.
Just remember to look at the camera every now and again. Talk to them as much as you talk to me. I boost up in a bit. So we're gonna take a deep breath and we'll start. Okay, so 3, 2. Hey viewers, how are you doing? Can you hear us? It's another wonderful day here in Pittsburgh. Bright and sunny. Even if it's raining, at least your grass is getting watered. Well, hopefully you're making the most of the weather in your area. So we're ready to discuss the first round, I guess if you could call it.
The unofficial first round of the NHL playoffs. If that's what we're calling this, because it is or was the unofficial first round, because we've never come across a playoff
round 0, right?
All right, the qualifying round, because we've never had this before due to the pandemic.
Right.
So this is.
Before we continue to discuss the first set of games, I just want to say, hey Kyle, thanks for joining in. And how's our volume? Are we too loud? Are we just right?
Hey Kyle, thanks for showing up. We greatly appreciate your support.
We'll keep an eye on the chat as we go along. So, let's start off with our home team. Pittsburgh Penguins had to face off against Montreal. And, yeah, it's sad that they've lost, but from what you got to watch, because due to our hard-working life, I don't get to watch it as much as, you do, but you are the hockey analyst here. You said that the Penguins' display looked pretty terrible, to put it bluntly.
It was bad. It was like reminiscent of last season when they faced the Islanders. 6 goals were scored in the playoffs. It can't happen. You got to have more. There's no fight. There's no heart. I don't know what happened. Like last year, I understand. First time we're bounced with Sullivan in the first round. This year, yes, we had a pandemic, but every team had a 4-month layoff, so everyone's fresh. Everyone's ready to go. There's no pushback. They didn't do the things that they made them win a Stanley Cup champions back-to-back years. It's a shocker, but give Montreal credit. They're structured. They played a trap game. Pittsburgh couldn't get around it.
Okay, right. I was going to say that for as much as time off as all the teams had, for as much as they could give you some rest and relaxation, get your muscles going, you could easily just become rusty, considering how long you were off the trail. Especially the season ended right in the hottest area. The actual chase for the playoffs right when it's getting down to the wire and all the teams are fighting for every last single point.
Yeah, that's...
And then to just be kind of shut off right then and there.
Yep.
It seems kind of...
It disrupts it. Every team around that point, around February, March, they start to play more desperate. Every team's, whether they're at the bubble or they're over, they're looking to get in, or they have a high enough amount of points, but they're still trying to climb the ladder.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to play more desperate. So it's.
So for this first set in Pittsburgh versus Montreal, what are some of the names you could say that looked good and looked bad? Let's start with Pittsburgh.
John Moreno looks like he's been in this league for 10 years. I've never seen a rookie come in and he plays like there's no pressure on him. It's unreal. 23, he was acquired via Edmonton for a 6th-round pick, and he's coming in and he's getting the job done. That's absolutely unreal. The Jason Zucker acquired, that's been a plus. He fits on the line with Crosby. The guys that disappoint me the most, I'm going to start once again. Chris Letang, he's got to be better. Absolutely out of this world. He's top number 1 defenseman on our team. He's got to be better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not asking, no one's asking him to, be Superman, but
right.
When your big guys got to be your big guys. Evgeny Malkin looked unreal in training camp, and then he's absolutely abysmal. He's nowhere to be found. Big game Brian Rust. Usually he's good for these types of games. He went MIA. Connor Shearer, he still can't hit the net. His speed is great. I know his chemistry with Gensel and Crosby, but he had a few good games, but he still couldn't score. But not a lot of guys on our team were scoring.
Right.
So it's
the goalie can only keep out so much. So your team has to do a little bit of offense too.
And I want to bring this to point for people. Matt Murray actually didn't. He had a very good series. It wasn't amazing, but he wasn't terrible. He can't get goal support. Tristan Jarry comes in game 4. He does everything right. 4 guys don't. They're standing around looking at the puck. And what happens?
So both goalies were left out to dry. The only controversy isn't that the goalies versus each other; it's the goalies versus the team, which is kind of interesting to say. But it's nice to sound that Matt Murray actually had a bit of an upside from that break. Who would have known? Now Montreal players, good and the bad. What's good?
Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He was a rookie last year. He comes in. He's doing everything right. He played a very good series. He looks like he's ready to outbreak. He's ready to break out. That's unreal. Hopefully, best wishes to him that Montreal pushes their game up. Just continuing to rise in the playoffs, because they're not going to have a fun time playing Philly. But still, that is going to be a very good series. But Shea Weber, everyone's saying he's getting older. He's still got the 100-mile-per-hour slap shot. He's still big and nasty and physical. He's going to be in your face. He took 72 out of the equation. Jeff Petrie, he moves the puck. He plays shutdown D. He's taking guys out of the equation. That's exactly what they were brought in to do. Come in, take guys out of the equation, to make sure Carey Price can see the puck. If Carey Price sees the puck, he's making the stop 100% of the time. If he doesn't see the puck, it's going in the net.
Right. Could be same for any team during any game at all when it comes to screening and all that. So what's on the bad side of Montreal? Anything looked bad over there? I mean, it can't be too bad if they won.
Nothing really that would say looks bad, but I don't think they have the offensive firepower that Philly has going into the next round. Mm-hmm. And Montreal's going to have to rely on Price to steal games for him. He's a top 10 goalie in the league. I know he's up there in age, but he's still one of the best goalies in the NHL. He's still taking games away. That's what he did in the regular season. He stole games. That's why Montreal got into this playoff bubble format. He stole games when need be. And this is the time where we needed, one of Jarry or Murray to steal games in a playoff game, and it just didn't happen.
The other team stole instead. Makes sense. So Montreal's one of the teams you could say that was near the bottom, if not the bottom, of all the teams in the NHL. And their uphill climb, their underdog status, only gets steeper as the playoffs continue.
They were the 24th ranked seed coming into this playoff format.
Wow. All right, so next in the East is Carolina versus the Rangers, with Carolina coming out 3-0.
The bad news for the Rangers is they got swept. No, I didn't see this coming at all. Every time, when they were bad, it showed. But then when they look like they have some fight, Carolina they overpower them. There's more will to them, and I guess the Rangers won the draft lottery, so they get the first overall. So I would say, okay, that's your consolation prize. You get Alex Lafreniere, or Frenier, however you pronounce his name. But I know they wanted to go farther, but the pieces are there. You have Mika Zibanejad, you have Artemi Panarin, two of the best players probably in the league right now. There's no doubt about it. You have Jacob Trouba, a young Tony DeAngelo. Adam Fox had a breakout season as a rookie. You know, the Rangers have pieces. Now the question is, how far are they going to go next season? They're going to be contending for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think Ranger fans are going to be too upset. That team is going to be frightening in the next 2-3 years if they're not frightening right now. Carolina, on the other hand, they're going to get Boston. If Carolina's first line plays the way they did against the Rangers, Boston's in trouble because their first line of Patrice Bergeron, David Pastrnak, and Brad Marchand, that line scored over 200-something goals in the regular season, and now they're absolutely invisible right now. I've never seen this happen. That's 3 30-goal scores minimum, and they're all invisible. I guarantee you they're going to be ready for this first round, but if Boston's first line doesn't figure it out real soon, they might be bounced very early.
Okay. Well, all right, out of the two teams there, we'll start with the Rangers. Any names that looked good despite their sweep?
They as a team didn't look bad. I'm not going to list names or whatnot, but
No, it's no supreme standout.
no, that's a young team still going through the midst of a rebuild, but it is going to improve. You just won the draft lottery, as stated. You have a lot of young pieces. Mika Zibanejad he's absolutely blown everyone out of the water with his play. 37 goals, I think something around 80 points. He's only going to get better. You have Artemi Panarin. Everyone thought, who's he going to play with? He puts up around 80, 90, and he's running a second line. And his second line center, I want to say, is Dylan Strome, maybe Ryan Strome. It's one of the two. But yeah, if he's running a line, you guys have Chris Kreider, a younger version of Chris Kunitz. You guys have a lot of firsts and seconds that you drafted. You guys have extra picks coming. You just traded Brady Shea to the Hurricanes right before this started for a first. So you get not only the first overall pick, you have another pick from Carolina, possibly a third one from maybe Phoenix, another team out west. Mm-hmm. So as your rebuild continues, you're also speeding it up by having more younger guys and having other players come in right away. So I could absolutely see them being scary in the next 2-3 seasons, if not right now.
All right, well, hey, congrats, Rangers, on the good look of your rebuild. And, of course, also congrats on your first round draft pick. Now, Carolina, anything that stood out or stood badly?
Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen, Andrei Svechnikov. That line, if you don't stop them, Carolina is going to give you problems. And it's nice to have a coach in Rod Brind'Amour who knows how to take faceoffs. So that's an important stat. People don't realize faceoff percentage means something in the NHL, like equivalent to hits, takeaways. You know, you need those categories. They mean something. They may not mean a lot on the scoreboard, but they absolutely do mean something.
Like a give an inch, take a mile kind of a
yes.
thing. Every last amount counts.
Carolina looks like they're playing desperate. They played the way I thought Philly played. Philly plays like they're absolutely desperate. If they don't do something, I could see a riot happening. You know, that's just the way I'm looking at it.
You do have to be pretty desperate when you have the entire team breathing down the entire city breathing down your back like it were football or soccer, you know? So, all right then. Well, Carolina moves on. And we are moving on to the next of the East. The other New York team, the Islanders versus Florida, and they took that 3-1 in the series.
I've been saying this for the last, 5 to 6 years. Barry Trotz is the best coach in hockey. There is absolutely no way around it. He had no offense in Nashville. He still got them in the playoffs. He goes to Washington, gets an offense. He runs into a hot Pittsburgh Penguin team twice. Nothing you can do about that.
Right.
Then you win a cup in your last season. Now you go to the Islanders. They don't have the superstar power like that Washington or Pittsburgh or Toronto may have, for say. But the Islanders still have talent. They're very well structured.
Mm-hmm.
As I had said earlier, last season when the Pittsburgh Penguins faced the New York Islanders in the first round, Pittsburgh only got 6 goals. They couldn't get around the trap game. Barry Trotz played the same style against Florida. Florida can't score goals now. All of a sudden, what's going to happen? That structure is going to wear you down. You're going to make a mental mistake. The Islanders are going to take advantage of it. They're going to make you pay every time. They don't have to have the firepower or the bigger names to bully you around. They work as a unit. They're very well structured. They're all around the puck. And that's what they do. They manage the puck well. They had superb goaltending last year. They have superb goaltending this year. This was the dark horse pick I had to win the cup. Barry Trotz, if you don't get around the structure of the Islanders, they're going to cause you problems. They don't take penalties either. That's the next thing. Last year, the Islanders' GAA dropped literally 1 whole point. So it was like 276 to 191. Oh, Barry Trotz comes in and there's defense. They don't actually have a number one defenseman that sticks out. That's the other thing. All 6 defensemen, they all work together. All forwards.
Gonna take a moment. Good to see you here, Callie. Thanks for joining in.
All 12 forwards, they know what their jobs are. They have the best fourth line in hockey. They hit, they cycle, they draw penalties. They're going to get it in your face. That's the point of that team. They're going to do what they can. Just get under your skin. That's that.
All right, so that's about the Islanders. Despite what the Islanders did well, obviously, as you mentioned, what did Florida do kind of not so well despite what the Islanders did? Is there kind of any advice you give for them in their upcoming next season?
It's a shame that there are so many good teams in both conferences, but with Florida, they have the talent. There's no reason why they can't make the playoffs. The biggest problem or obstacle for them, I would say, is you have how many other teams you have to leapfrog. So you have to win the crucial games. Mm-hmm. You got to find a way to win those crucial games. And for them, Bobrovsky's first year, I know it was rough, but I think he's still worth his contract for right now. I understand you guys want to win. You have Barkov, who's a phenomenal center. Jonathan Huberdeau is busting out and becoming a top 20, 30 player. You guys have the talent. You have Mike Hoffman. You guys have the talent. There's no denying that. It's putting it together and winning the games when they absolutely matter. So for Florida, and you're in the easier division or alignment. So that's the thing I would look at. So.
All right, then. That settles it for that pairing. Now, the final pairing of the East. The only pairing to go all 5 games. Columbus and Toronto. Tell us about it.
Columbus did exactly what I thought they would do. They were going to annoy and agitate Toronto's big 4. Just shut them down completely. Don't let them get a lot of time and space with the puck. Don't let them do anything. For Columbus, you did what you did last year against Tampa Bay. You bounced them in 4. So if you did it to Toronto, you got Tampa Bay again next round. What a coincidence. Honestly, I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. I said the same thing. If you guys do that again, you're going to bounce Tampa Bay very early. Just continue to stick with your game. Go in on the forecheck. Hit everything that moves. That is the biggest thing I can say. If you dump the puck in the corner and you target the opposing defenseman, make them turn the puck over. That's exactly what Columbus wants to do. They're going to wear you down with their hitting. They're going to wear you down with their cycle. Jonas Korpisalo comes back from an injury. He looks like he hasn't missed anything. John Tortorella is one of the funniest hockey coaches I've ever seen in my life. He goes on his daily rants. I know he does not like anyone over here in Pittsburgh. Maybe Sullivan, that's about it. But the man does know what he's doing. Columbus had not made the playoffs in about 4 or 5 straight seasons before he came over. They were 0-8-0 before they brought him in. Since then, they made the playoffs every season. So the man is doing something right.
You must be, especially if you win out the series. But a bit of a nail-biter, though. It had to go to the final game.
They don't have the firepower either that Toronto has. And that's the interesting part. So they're playing more so defensive, and they're getting better goaltending. For Toronto, you guys were all excited for that rebuild. It's here. I see how explosive your team is offensively, but then something happens, and in the playoffs, I don't know what goes wrong. I mean, I understand, yes, you ran into Boston a couple times. That doesn't help you. You guys have the talent. I absolutely see you guys doing something, but unfortunately, I believe one of the big 4, whether it's Marner, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, or William Nylander, one of them is going to get moved. Right. Something has to give. You guys had Nazem Kadri last season. You guys would have beat Boston in 7, in my opinion, if he didn't take a penalty, which led to a suspension, which I didn't agree with, and that's what was that was the turning point. Now, in the offseason, you traded Nazem Kadri to get Tyson Barrie, a right-handed defenseman that you need, and that ended up being a whiff. I said this, and now I've gotten roasted for it. You guys need a defenseman like Drew Doughty, somebody that can come in and play two-way hockey. It wasn't about putting points up on the board. You have Morgan Riley to do that. You need a steady shutdown right-handed defenseman, and that's why I like Drew Doughty. He's in the midst of being in Los Angeles. He's won 2 cups. He's won gold medals with Team Canada. The guy's a winner. That's what you needed, and you had the assets to do it. You had the cap space. It's a nice luxury to have a 1-2 punch with John Tavares, Austin Matthews, but it doesn't lead to playing defense. All 4 of Matthews, Tavares, Marner, Nealer, they want the puck. So how do you have 4 guys that want the puck? And then who's playing D?
Sounds like a problem they're going to have to figure out soon enough. But that's it for the East. Those were the 4 pairings on the East half of the NHL. There are still 4 more pairings to discuss, and these were all the West teams now. Here's who won between Chicago and Edmonton. Of course, Chicago, 3-1. Good job, Chi-Town. Anything you want to declare that was noteworthy about that confrontation overall?
Jonathan Taves looks like Jonathan Taves right now. A couple seasons ago, everyone was saying, "Oh, he's done. His cap hit is bad. He's not doing anything." Oh, well, now he comes in. He shuts down Connor McDavid.
Ooh.
He puts up the points. Patrick Kane didn't do anything. That's a 100-point player who now is just getting ready to play. That's the scary part of this. Like, the sleeping giant is now going to be awake. If Jonathan Taves still stays hot, you guys have Donna Kubalik, a rookie, put up 30. Braden Sods, he's won 2 cups. He looks like he's absolutely back to normal or back to form.
Yeah.
If Chicago stays, the biggest question for me is Corey Crawford. With his health, if he stays healthy, Chicago, if they stay the course and play the way they're playing, I can see them doing some damage.
Now, here's the thing. Do you think Vegas is going to be caught off guard because Chicago now has to face Vegas in the first official round of this playoff? And, of course, we know who's goaltending out there. A very notable name. But now that Chicago's hot, you think they're going to be on the back heel in Vegas?
I think Vegas is still going to take that series. They're deeper. I know they have Marc-Andre Fleury, but the wild card for me overall, it's going to be between Vegas's offensive depth against Chicago's. Vegas, if Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty, who just arrived, if they get going, you still have Wild Bill Carlson, or as his actual name is William Carlson. You have Jonathan Marchessault. So that's 420 goal scorers easy, right there. That's a nice problem. But let's be for real. Vegas rolls out all 4 lines. Their defense moves the puck. They have good goaltending. This is a key stat, or not a stat, but here's a headliner. At the deadline, Chicago traded Robin Lehner to Vegas for Malcolm Subban, a prospect, and a second. So Robin Lehner has a chance to face his former team in the playoffs.
Oh, gotta love those turnaround stories like that. It's always nifty. It's always exciting, too. All right, any parting words for Edmonton since they'll have more golf time than ice time now?
This is another wasted season of Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. Those 2 are the 2 best players in the world right now, and nothing is working. You guys got to figure something out. I know Peter Chiarelli has made some interesting moves, and I know some of them have backfired, some of them maybe have worked. But then, you have Ken Holland. I think he'll turn it around. He was in Detroit for 2 to 3 decades. He's won how many cups with Detroit? He'll help turn it around, but something has to give. I hate to say this, but at some point, if Edmonton keeps losing, I see, if not both, one of them asking out.
Well, only time will tell now. All right. So in the second pairing in the West, we had Phoenix versus Nashville. And, of course, the Coyotes took it 3-1.
For me,
Insightful words?
Phil Kessel starting to look like Phil Kessel again. And that's a bad news for everyone coming out in the West. Phil Kessel, he had a very slow start. I know he was dealing with some type of injury. I think it was a groin injury. So his explosiveness with his speed wasn't all there. But now that he's starting to look like the normal Phil Kessel we had in Pittsburgh, back in Toronto as well, that's 30 goals. That is a 30-goal scorer.
He's got that nice little lob shot in there.
And add in the fact that you have Taylor Hall, who you acquired in the middle of the season. So you have 2 first-round picks that can put up goals, points. The question is, your defense looks okay. Darcy Kemper is playing out of his mind. He's stealing games for you. Nashville, I thought, would have won with the amount of offensive depth they had. And I thought with Pecorine and all their experience getting to the finals and always, making the playoffs for a good bit of the time. You have Roman Yossi, who's a top 5 defenseman. You have Ryan Ellis. Matthias Ekholm, who's probably on the best contract. He is quietly a star in his own making. And overall, it's a shame to see. Because I was a big fan of Pecorino and still am, but yeah, Nashville getting bounced is a shocker. And I don't know if it's because there's just, I don't know if it's the center position, because Kyle Turris, capped at $6 million, he's not producing. Ryan Johansson, that trade years ago, him 1-for-1 Seth Jones going to Columbus, it looked okay. But now all of a sudden, Ryan Johansson's not putting up as many points as you would hope. So that's leaving Matt Duchene, who's your free agent acquisition this offseason.
Mm-hmm.
Matt Duchene is going to be Matt Duchene. Victor Arvidsson and Filip Forsberg, they're going to score goals.
Right.
You need more from Ryan Johansson. You need more from Kyle Turris. Colton Sissons is a good player. You guys have the depth. You guys have the talent. In my opinion, the West is tougher to play in than the East. But I still think Nashville can be a contender.
Mm-hmm.
But they're going to have to figure out that center position.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously, plenty of notes that you've already given so far for all the teams that have been knocked out, and of course they're definitely going to be looking into their weak spots, their underbelly this upcoming, season next year. Of course, that'll be shortened, won't it?
No, they're trying to go for a full 82.
A full 82? Ooh.
I wonder if they're going to take off the All-Star game. That would be my first guess.
That would make a lot of sense. That's a whole extra, 2 weeks worth of time they actually get back from that.
You have more back-to-backs.
All right, so we're just on Phoenix and Nashville. That means next is Vancouver and Minnesota, with Vancouver taking it 3-1 in this series.
The plus side on this for Minnesota, you're getting a first either this season or next season, on top of the one you have right now. So you weren't projected to make the playoffs, but second half of the season, right after the deadline, you guys started to heat up. You guys have a very bright future. But again, you got the West is tougher to play than the East, in my opinion.
And to follow up on what you just said, at least they also they made the most of their second chance. They didn't get swept. They took a game.
They have
they made it worth it.
If we ship over, as in the Penguins ship over their first round pick of this year, Minnesota will draft 9th and 15th. This year's draft is deep. If they get one, no matter what, it's still a top 10 pick. A top 10 pick is a top 10 pick. So they can make they made the playoffs and they still draft very high. So it's the retooling. It's working. It's going to be good for Vancouver. The future is here. Bo Horvat, one of the better younger two-way centers, Elias Peterson.
Mm-hmm.
Those two are so explosive. Brock Besser starts scoring goals. You guys have the pieces now. Jacob Markstrom is playing out of his mind. Now, I don't know who I think you're getting. You got St. Louis. You got the defending Stanley Cup champions next round. That is not going to be an easy task. But St. Louis has not looked like St. Louis. But
I mean,
round robins.
Other teams didn't look like that.
That would be their exhibition. So this next round, everyone's going to be ready to play.
Yeah, they just had all these games to play, and now they're all fired up.
Right.
And speaking of fire, the final pairing in the West is Calgary and Winnipeg.
This was an interesting series because in one of the games, Mark Scheifele of the Jets, their top-line center, he was injured by Flames forward Matthew Tkachuk. If that injury does not happen, this series is going 5.
Okay, yeah.
The skate went in the back of Scheifele's leg. I know you didn't see it. Yeah. So this was... Some people were calling...
Calling dirty, they're calling foul on it.
They're calling for Tkachuk's head on a fence post.
Oh.
Jets coach Paul Maurice said it was deemed dirty and he wants a suspension. Mm-hmm. Nothing came out of it. I believe it was just an unfortunate accident, because apparently Scheifele and Tkachuk, they trained in the offseason together. I don't believe Tkachuk wants, at that point, I don't believe he's trying to injure Scheifele.
Right.
It's unfortunate that the ice is bad in Toronto. That was announced even before this whole playoff format started.
Oh, really?
Everyone was warned the ice is going to be bad. And what happened is his skate goes up, and as they're turning, it goes right in the back of Scheifele's leg. It was...
You're always in danger when it comes to any sport. Even if something as simple as golf or baseball, you can get injured at any time. It doesn't change. It'll never change.
It was not a pleasant sight.
No.
But, them not having Dustin Byfuglien, one of their better defensemen, he's pondering retirement. Then you lose Mark Scheifele, and you traded Jacob Trouba, you're arguably your best defenseman in the offseason because his wife wanted to be on the East Coast. And you replaced both of them, but well, you at least replaced one of them, but the guys you replace them with don't have the skill level as those guys. So that's no knock on them, but, in total fairness, it's like, well, Bufflin's won a cup. The guy can hit.
Mhm.
I always thought he'd be a fit in Pittsburgh playing defense. He's a freight train. When we had Jamie Alexiak, he and Alexiak collided, and Bufflin got a concussion out of it. And that's when he started pondering retirement, because I had not seen him play well since.
Yeah.
Now, he hasn't been back for how long now? So he's still staying out of it. His contract was mutually terminated. So he's technically a free agent. So this will be interesting to see if he comes back, and if so, who's he going to sign with? For the Jets, it's an unfortunate. It's bittersweet. I know you guys want to go farther. Connor Hellebuyck is still a top 10 goalie in the league. You still have Scheifele. You still have Blake Wheeler, who's one of the best captains in the league. The guy does everything you want him to do.
Yeah.
If you guys get a second-line center, Patrick Guade's got to get going. You drafted him second overall. I know he was injured, but you got to get more out of him next season. You have to. You got to get a second-line center.
All right.
You have to get a second-line center somehow. And for the Flames, I know you're scoring goals. That's fine. David Riddick, he's winning games. Cam Talbot, he looks like the normal Cam Talbot back when he was with the Rangers. So as long as the Flames stay the course, I could see them doing some damage in the playoffs.
Sounds good enough. All right, then. That concludes it for all the moving on in eliminations from this round 0 of special edition playoffs. So now with the quick words about the pairings coming up into the first true official first round. All right, so what we have here, Vegas versus Chicago. I know you touched up on this a little bit earlier, but anything you want to say about this matchup to keep an eye on? What should we be expecting from this matchup?
Which goalie starts between Marc-Andre Fleury or Robin Lehner? If Robin Lehner starts the series, he gets a chance to defeat his former team just in this past season. If it's Fleury, he gets a chance to add to his resume.
And that's already an impressive one to begin with. Anything for Chicago, though?
They have nothing to lose. You made the playoffs. You didn't. You still have your picks. You're still in the midst of a retool/rebuild, and you get into the playoffs. You got to hope Patrick Kane gets going, and you got to hope Jonathan Taves stays hot. If he stays hot, you guys are going to cause problems for Vegas.
Alrighty. All right, now Colorado versus Phoenix.
I'm happy to say that Phoenix. It's nice to see you guys back in the playoffs. You're unfortunately getting the best team in the West. That's not fair at all. Nathan McKinnon is too explosive. Mikko Rantanen can take a game over at any point. Gabe Landeskog is going to be Gabe Landeskog. Nazem Kadri is the wild card. What do you get out of him? He's going to drive people nuts. But how many points and goals will he get for Colorado? You know what McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog can do. But what are you going to get out of the depth of your team? That's my question for Colorado.
All right, yeah. Sometimes stats do speak for themselves. I mean, they're not always the rule, but they're there for a reason.
Before we continue, the one factor I will say for Colorado, Cole Makar, if he puts up points in the playoffs like he did this past regular season, it's like having a fourth forward. That is going to be crucial. Phoenix is going to have to find a way to shut down Colorado's top line and Makar, and hope they get some puck luck as well.
Right. All right. Dallas versus Calgary.
Calgary's have to continue to do what they were doing. Matthew Tkachuk's have to go drive Jamie Benn or Tyler Seguin nuts. That is the one way where Calgary will, they'll advance. For Dallas, you got to get Joe Pavelski going. You signed him in the offseason, a.k.a. Captain America, 3 years, $21 million. And you were thinking you were going to get a 30-goal scorer. And he barely got to 20, if I'm not mistaken. He might be under 20. He's got to get going.
Yeah. Get his engine revved.
I mean, I know he's up there in age, but still, he's still a very good player. If he gets going, if you signed Corey Perry, a guy that drove you nuts for how many years when he was with the Ducks, now you bring him in, he's been in the playoffs how many times? He's scored 40, 50 goals in his younger years. He can still contribute. He can lead. You're not asking him to put up like 1 million points or anything, but
you still want what you paid for.
Exactly. You need him to come in, help set the tone. Tyler Seguin, he's won a cup with Boston. You got at least 2 guys there that have won cups.
All right, then. Rounding out the first half is St. Louis versus Vancouver.
For St. Louis, just keep it simple. Do what you did last year. that helped you guys win cups. Do it. Play the way you played last season. I don't see any glaring holes. I see the same exact roster.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Binnington, a full year of NHL experience now. You guys get Vancouver. They're a younger team. They don't have a lot of experience, but you don't take them for granted. Their speed is going to cause you a problem. So you're going to have to contain their speed. You're going to have to find a way. I would say just go in, hit their defensemen, make them turn the puck over. That's as simple as that. If I have to pick, I'm going to go St. Louis in 6.
Ooh, okay. Actually, are they playing longer games
Now,
in this round? Is
all
it
series
best of
now.
7?
Yep.
Ooh, best of 7.
I will
Okay,
say.
nice.
I will also say Calgary in 6, Colorado in 5,
Okay, and for Vegas, Chicago
6,
predictions.
Vegas in 6.
Okay. All right. Now for the second half, the team of unlimited desperation, Philadelphia versus Montreal.
Philly in 5. Philly is they're 3-0 in the round robin. They're playing like their houses are on fire. This is arguably the scariest Flyers roster I've seen. At this point, they're on pace to put up around 105-6 points.
Mm-hmm.
On it, and that they weren't. I don't think they were projected to make the playoffs, but I didn't see them being this deadly. This is quite frightening. You know about Claude Giroux, you know about Sean Couturier, Jakub Voracek. That's their big line. But Kevin Hayes, Scott Laughton, that second line has absolutely been unreal. I don't hear anything else except for those guys. Carter Hart, he's playing out of this world.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep getting good goaltending, and Philly keeps getting offense, if that big line wakes up, you're going to have a problem. Montreal does not have the firepower to keep up with them. Carey Price is going to have to stand on his head again. And that's a lot to ask for out of a goalie. Montreal's going to have to stay disciplined. They're going to have to find a way to take the eyes way out of Carter Hart.
Ooh, I mean, Philly's already known for being a very physical team like Boston, but then you add to it everything else besides their physicality is lighting up.
Well, actually, Philly's not as physical as it used to be. This is not the same Broadway bully team that we're used to seeing. They've gotten away from that. I mean, they might hit the Penguins more just because it's Pittsburgh versus Philly.
Yeah, brotherly love.
But overall, this is not the same Philly team like that we used to see before, where they would take obnoxious penalties. These guys are very well disciplined. They move the puck. They're cycling. Travis Konechny, he's a very good player. He's going to start scoring goals at some point again. It's only a matter of time. You're not going to. Somebody has to slow Philly down. If you got to find a way to do it. You're going to have to shut down their top 2 lines and make their third and fourth lines do some damage, or else it's going to be over very fast.
All right, well, good luck, Montreal. It sounds like you're going to need it. All right, Tampa Bay versus... No, Tampa.
No, you're right. Tampa versus Columbus. With Tampa Bay, last year...
getting all mixed up.
Last year, Columbus bounced Tampa Bay. Mm-hmm. What they did, they just drove Tampa Bay's forwards nuts. That's it. That's all they did. They were pests. Columbus is going to do that again. If it continues to happen... and Tampa Bay does not adjust and just stay away from those little, incidents or scraps.
Yeah,
it's going to be an early series again for Tampa. You got to stay away from that. You have to use your speed, get in behind Columbus's D, move the puck, make them play in their own zone. For Columbus, you're going to do what you did last year: drive their opposing nuts forward. Drive their opposing players nuts. You took Stamkos out of the equation. Kucherov was invisible. That's 2 100-point players. Braden Point, you take him out of the equation as well. That's your 3 best players. Victor Hedman just left the other day with an injury. Mm-hmm. If you lose your number 1 defenseman, that's a dagger.
Yeah, but I mean, you have to think that teams always go back and watch their footage, so it's not like Tampa Bay is going to be.
I think it'll be different this year, mm-hmm. But I also understand one thing. Columbus isn't going to shy away from that type of play. That's exactly why they're so successful. They don't have the firepower that Tampa Bay does. So I'm thinking they're going to do what they did last year. They're going to pester Stamkos. They're going to pester Kucherov. They're going to pester Braden Point. They're going to take the eyes away from Vasilevsky. They're going to make sure Hedman can't do anything. They're going to make sure Ryan McDonough is invisible. That's an all-star first line and first pairing defense right there. So you take those guys on a play. Mm-hmm. What is Tampa going to have pushed back, or are they just going to sit there and just, take obnoxious penalties and get frustrated? So Tampa has to stay away from that frustration level.
Yeah. I mean, they can definitely talk about that frustration level of things. Like I get I get frustrated just watching Malkin get frustrated and then take all those dumb penalties. They've cost us, the Penguins a couple games. Dumb penalties will cost any team a game.
I get
regardless.
I get frustrated with Sullivan and his decision making. I'm sure you're there with me. So
right. But I think that's a conversation for another time.
Absolutely.
Alrighty then. So coming up next is the Washington versus the New York Islanders.
This is my favorite series in the whole first round. Barry Trotz faces his former team, Ovechkin against Trotz.
Right.
Ovechkin won when they won last bet. Trotz won a cup with the Capitals, and then he left. So now this is bittersweet. So for Washington, you're going to have to get a huge lead. You're going to have to find a way to get past that structure that the Islanders play. You're going to have to force them to take penalties. You're going to have to. You're going to have to use your speed and your skill to your advantage. You're going to have to force the Islanders to take penalties. You're going to have to make them chase the game.
Right.
For the Islanders, you stick with your structured game. Make the Capitals just frustrate them. I mean, you did it to Pittsburgh. I know you're going to do it to Washington. Some of my friends said I'm nuts for this, but I said the Islanders will win in 6.
Well, you did say that was your dark horse pick for the entire bracket.
Washington didn't look good in the round robin, but I understand the round robin to me is exhibition for those 14, those top seeds.
This entire round 0 has been nothing but a supreme exhibition that matters.
Right.
And it's taken place kind of around the normal exhibition game time frame for the NHL, weirdly enough. But now it's playoff time.
Yeah, like right now it should be off season where free agency is occurring or training camp is beginning.
But hey, the world's just a little bit different this year.
Yeah.
2021's around the corner. So to top it all off, Boston versus Carolina.
David Pastrnak put up 48 goals this year, 95 points, and he has not done a thing. Boston's top line has been invisible right now for this first round, for this unofficial first round. That's absolutely surprising. They have to get going. For Boston, that's what makes this team go. Their first line, they set the tone for the other 3 lines. The other 3 lines come in and do their jobs. For Boston, if their top line of Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, and Patrice Bergeron, if they don't get going, Carolina is going to beat them very, very badly. I can see this happening. Carolina they're a good team. Teuvo Teravainen, Sebastian Aho, Andrei Svechnikov, they took over the entire Carolina Rangers series. When again, as I said a few minutes ago, when they were playing the Rangers, anytime the Rangers had any will, Carolina outwilled them. Mm-hmm. I believe it's going to happen in Boston. Boston better get that first line going, or else it's not going to be pretty. If they get bounced in the first round, I can see changes happening.
That would definitely be interesting.
You won the President's Trophy, but then you dropped down to the number 4 seed.
Okay.
You went to
comparison.
You went to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I understand every team has high expectations. For Boston,
everyone's the best 13.
Boston has a lot of players on team-friendly contracts that are absolute sweetheart deals. Like Pasternak's cap hit is $6 million. Brad Marchand's is about $6 million. I mean, you have 1 year of Zdeno Chara. He's going to go into the Hall of Fame. This is arguably his last season. I know Boston's going to want him to go out on top. So for Boston, you better get that first line going. If you don't, it might be there might be problems. For Carolina, just keep playing the way you were playing against the Rangers. Just do what you were doing against them. But do to Boston what you did to the Rangers. You roll out all 4 lines, win your faceoffs, get down in Boston zone, make their defense chase the puck. Trap their Boston forwards in their own zone. Don't let them break out and do anything.
Okay. Well, that just about sums it up for all the NHL thus far, the continuing of the suspended season in this round 0 of the NHL playoffs. Now, that ends our sports talk for today. And if you like what you saw, whether you saw it live or after it's recorded, then feel free to hit subscribe, give a like, and also inform your relatives, especially if they like some sports that you don't. If they like any of the football or the baseball, we'll be talking about those sports soon enough as well. Of course, once everything gets back to normal, or as close to normal as they can get.
The Pirates series got canceled against the Cardinals because the Cardinals broke out with COVID.
Ooh, rough. All right then. And also, we're looking into options to get some viewer call-ins going at some point, probably through Discord. So keep an eye and an ear out. We'll be posting about that either through this channel or through Twitter. You can find us at the handle at Double G Streams, the exact same name here on YouTube. All right, for anyone else out there who loves their video games, we'll be playing some a little bit later. I'd say in about roughly an hour and 40 minutes, something like that. You know, this one will actually be a nice game that is the reason why we're wearing our little costumes that we'll probably be donning forever. Well, thanks for tuning in. Hope to catch you again real soon.
Thanks, folks. We appreciate it.